Happy Tuesday, y'all. What'd you think of those pictures? The first one was yesterday evening's harvest pickings. So yes, this recipe is all about the peppers, or should I say, one pepper in particular. And the second photo that you saw was gifted to me, along with something else, which will be the star of the show, has a lot of meaning to it. Now, I have many options for those peppers that's hanging. One could be share with my girls, and I might, yes. But y'all, I'm just sitting here and in awe, amazed at this hanging string of peppers. There's so much I'm going to be able to do. So, yeah, this is a big deal for Lippy because you see the title is rotel. Only this is a true copycat rotel recipe. Last year, if you remember, I shared with y'all my rotel recipe, but that was using, what did I use? Serranos, jalapenos, and some onions. And it works for us guys because I never had hatch chili peppers except in that little can. And I was like, well, this is all I can do, and it's fine, it's great, but it's missing that hatch chili flavor. I can't describe it. When you taste your rotel out of a can, you taste yours, you're like, oh, this works. But you want it to match. We're matching it today. Move over, rotel. Lippy's in the house. Lippy has what? Hatch chilies. Y'all, when that box came in, I was tickled pink. Now, I have the hot here, which is diced, and that's what we're using today. So I'll mark these jars hot. But I also have the mediums. Now, these have been peeled, but they are not chopped. I'll have to chop them myself. It's just the pepper itself. And guys, this came with those hanging peppers. Yes. And she didn't say I could use her name, so I'm not going to say anything. But we were chit-chatting, and she was like, I need you to make rotel. And I was like, I already did last year. She's like, with hatch chilies. I said, I ain't got none. I ain't never seen them here in Louisiana. That's all that was said. A week later, what shows up in the mail? And let me tell y'all what. It's some of the best packaging I ever seen. It's got like a resealable, and this is from the Hatch Chili Store. It's really cool, and this was a 1 pound bag. Well, they're all 1 pound bags, but we're going to use the hot, so I'm going to get these back in the refrigerator because I got a full day ahead. So we're just going to do a batch. Now, I am doubling this just like I did last year, but the single recipe I will put in the description, but there will be no onions. There will be no jalapenos. There will be no serranos. This is strictly the star of the show, and that is your hatch chilies. Now, there won't be any variation to last year's video. The only thing I'm exchanging is the peppers. And let me touch on that. I got a lot of new followers and new canners. Since we will be water bathing this recipe, yes, water bathing, you have to be very mindful of your high acidics, which would be the tomatoes, to your low acidics, which then would be our peppers. And that's where you have to be very careful when water bathing, is because what you don't want to do is to end up your end result to be on the lower acidic side. That's where you get in trouble. So in this recipe, just like last year, 2 cups to this double batch, okay? That's the max you can use on your low acidic vegetable. So I'm going to be using 2 cups of hatch chilies because I'm doubling it. But if you didn't have hatch, you could use jalapeno, serrano, onions, the mixture of all 3, provided you don't exceed those 2 cups if you're going to make it in a double batch. You can always take away, guys, but you can never add, because that's when you're going to change the balance of the acidic level, and it will not be shelf stable, okay? And what I mean by that is, it's not digestible. It's not edible. It could be, should I say, dangerous, because we are not scientists, okay? You have to stay within the guidelines of safety. When you're mixing a high and a low, you need to bring the low up to equal of the high acidic. And that's how you achieve that, is by true measurements. So, I'm gonna get a sip of coffee. I think I've got everything done. So I'm gonna turn the camera around, show you the ingredients, no different than last year. But like I said, we got new followers, guys. We got new friends on here. So we wanna make sure that we don't miss a beat. Now I do have my jars sitting over here, been washed, sterile, cleaned, but they're not just gonna go from there to being used. I will run them through hot water, but that's using my electric pressure canner, and we will be water bath canning this. So, sip of coffee, we're gonna rock this out. Oh, and let me say, any ball book you can use, you can play with the salsas. Remember, as long as you don't add, you can take away. But if y'all happen to have this ball book, I went through here. Where is my little sticker? I'll have to find it. I did go through here. Here it is right here. And find one that would give you a baseline. And it would be on page 203 and your complete ball home preserving book. Okay? On page 203, and it is the vegetable salsa. Okay? It's a very good read because it's offering the onions, the bell peppers, the jalapenos, other peppers, you know, let's see, green bell peppers, garlic. But if you look at the ingredients to the amount of acidic that you're using, it balances. But the difference between this one and mine, this one calls for 3/4 cup of vinegar. The reason why it's calling for that much vinegar is because we are dealing with 3 cups of vegetables. Remember, I'm breaking mine down to 2, so therefore I won't be using as much. I'm taking away, I'm not adding. So a good recipe to go by and exchange your peppers for just hatch, or exchange all of this for just jalapenos. It's a win-win right here, guys. So I figured I'd share that with y'all because I said I've got to give them something to compare to because my recipe is not in a ball book. But it is within the safety guidelines because it originated from a ball recipe and I tweaked it without increasing the volume of my low acid. So there you go. My tea today's over. We got to get to cooking. Now in this stock pot, I have 24 cups of diced tomatoes that I did process last night, and I just set them in the ice box and pulled them out today. So this is a paste tomato. You can use a slicer, but remember, you're gonna have to drain all the juice. So however you're able to achieve 24 cups of diced tomatoes, that's what you're gonna need. This is for the double batch. 2 cups of hatch chilies, or there again, your pepper of choice. I would do a serrano or a jalapeno. 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. We will be using a teaspoon of coriander seed. This is nothing more than the seed of the plant. Most of you are familiar with cilantro. I don't do cilantro. I will use the coriander seed. But if you want to use the cilantro, that would be a half a cup of fresh cilantro leaves. But this is 1 teaspoon coriander. We're going to use a teaspoon of black pepper. Here is our canning salt, 3 tablespoons. Make sure your salt is non-iodized. And I will be using 1/4 cup of white distilled vinegar. Make sure it is 5%. Now, I do have a little bit of liquid still left because I ran it through a colander and drained it. And that's the good thing about doing this the night before. It allows all the liquids to release, and then you can get a very good, solid product of your tomatoes. Now, I can let you know, you can use diced tomatoes from your local grocery store, as long as it doesn't have the oils in it. Some will say with garlic and olive oil. No, you just want plain diced tomatoes with no extra added ingredients, and you can achieve the same thing. So this is not just for gardeners, you know, who grow their tomatoes, or if you're not able to go to a farmer's market and be able to get your tomatoes, there is an alternative. 24 cups. In goes these hatch chilies. Y'all, I just feel like it's Christmas. I'm not gonna lie. I am so tickled. I've never had these, like I said, except in one of those little jars. They're still got a little bit of crunch. The smell. This is the smell of rotel to me. Well, I guess so. It's got hatch chilies. I can't get over it, guys. This is amazing. Okay, we're gonna move to our pickling salt. That's gonna be 3 tablespoons. One teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon garlic powder, 2 tablespoons sugar. And what the sugar does, it's not gonna lend to the sweetness, but it's going to balance out the acidity of the tomatoes. We're gonna give this a good stir. Get this well and combined. You see I've not added my coriander seeds. That's because I'm gonna nestle that into this mixture. Here is my 1 teaspoon of coriander seeds. Now, many of you have seen me use this method about 3 years, but my new friends, anytime you want to add like peppercorns, coriander seeds, whole cloves, things of that nature, you can either use them in a cloth, but this tea strainer or tea leaf, whatever they call these things, I don't use these, but I use it for my whole seasonings because I'm gonna nestle it in here. It's gonna give me that flavor, but when I'm done, I just pull it out and discard what's in there. And I don't have to deal with the pieces in here or in a bag, to me, that you really need to throw away, okay? So it's just a little trick. I don't remember what they're called. I might have remembered last year, but today, on this day, Lippy don't know what they're called except a tea leaf something. Now, setting my stove eye on about a number 7, we're gonna bring this up to a light boil. Not a heavy, not a just going crazy, but a steady light boil. We will turn it down, maintaining a little bit of a boil consistency, and we're gonna let this go, making sure you stir it. Last year I went an hour because I had onions. This year I'm gonna let it go 30 minutes. Y'all, where was you? I forgot my vinegar. 1/4 cup. I didn't leave you hanging, did I? No. Okay, can you see this boil? You see it's not a rapid boil. I brought it up to a steady boil, and then I lowered my temp from a 7 to a 5, and that's on my stove. And this is what you're looking for. Just a smooth, steady boiled. And we're gonna do this for 30 minutes. You see, I can stir it back down and it comes right back up, but it's not a hard boil. We are now ready to can them up. Now guys, my electric pressure canner, water bath canner, it holds 10 half pints. So I will be using citric acid, 1/4 teaspoon per half pint or pint. I choose to use half pints because that's equivalent to a standard can of rotel. If you choose to use lemon juice, please use pure lemon juice in a bottle, because using a fresh lemon will not yield you the right acidity that's safe for canning. But if you were to use lemon juice, it would be 1 teaspoon. Y'all have seen me now, I prefer citric acid. There again, that's a choice. Do your research. But that is 1/4 teaspoon going to each jar. Now these jars are hot. They've been in my canner, heating up. And we're gonna go for 1/2 inch headspace. The smell, guys, oh my gosh. Let's see where we're at. Let's set that right there. I'm gonna need a little bit more. Not much. Maybe that much. Let's see. Perfect. Yes. Now that's a beautiful jar of rotel. Now I'm gonna throw a little curve in there. In my last couple of videos, I have touched on pH. And I think a couple of videos back, I explained that it can be a little bit of confusion when you're looking at your pH balance, because the guidelines have that 6.5 margin. 6.5 and below is your high acidics that you can safely water bath can. 6.5 and above requires pressure canning. And you're thinking, well, what? There's that 6.5 either way. So I've always said I drop mine to 6.4 and below for water bath. I take the 6.5 straight across the board, moving up, which means you're lower acid, and I pressure can. Because a lot of times I do get some questions that people think, well, when you use the word high acid, they're thinking high number. And people buy the little sticks and the little tear papers and things like that. No, the higher the number, 6.5 and up, is pressure canning. Like I said, I do 6.4 below, you're safe for water bath canning. But we're not gonna stop there. I'm gonna show y'all, this is a meter that I use that you do have to calibrate now. So this is just one that I have. I like it. It's simple, and of course I had my husband calibrate it because there's a few steps in calibrating. It's not hard, but it's mixing certain packets that come with it to calibrate. So you have to pay attention, and he's the guru for this. And he keeps a check on it. So I'm gonna turn my meter on. I have mine set for Fahrenheit, not Celsius, okay? And right now, in the open air, it's jumping 778, up to 830 in pH, just being open air. But I wanna show y'all something. I don't know what the reading is, but I do this to every batch. So here you go. We're gonna set our probe down in here. Now you can't go past this notch here. And I let it sit a little bit. If y'all wanna zoom in and screenshot, that's fine with me. Bottom line, guys, it's 3.43, 3.41. So even though it's jumping in the 3 range, we are so safe. Remember, 6.4 or below. It's not necessary to have one of these meters. It's really not. But if you question, especially if you're buying, well, just your own produce, if you're questioning certain recipes that say is not in a ball book or a safety guideline book, a good way to ensure that your method of canning is safe, invest in a pH tester. And there's various kinds out there. This brand, I don't know what it's called. Let me look and see. Well, let me get my glasses on. Then I can tell y'all. But like I said, there are so many of them out there. This is the YY103 series. Intelligent pH meter. Okay. And I just keep mine in a box. And I'll show you how to store it. Hold on just a minute because I got to clean this off. Now, you don't submerge it in water. You just clean the probe off. And I keep this moistened because you got to keep the probe moistened. First thing I got to do is turn it off. And it comes with a solution. And I'd already dropped the solution in here last week and it's still damp. And I'm just going to close it up, put it back in its box. Oops, I didn't want to break that. And there you go. Batteries sit up here. So yeah, that's how Lippy tests everything that I can. So I'm gonna get my top of my jar wiped off. I'm using white distilled vinegar. I had already debubbled this, and plus I put the probe in. We're gonna add, and I do keep my flats in hot tap water. I mean, I can touch it, as you can see. I'm gonna put my flat on, ring on, just finger tight, don't crank down. I'm gonna get them in my water bath canner. If you're using the stovetop method, make sure that your timing does not begin till you reach a rolling boil. Then set your timer, okay? These are hot jars, hot product, going into a warm water bath. Bring to a boil. Start your timer for 40 minutes if you're doing half pints and pints. It will be 50 minutes if you're using quarts. I don't know who would do quarts in rotel, but hey, some people may want to. But it's going to be 40 minutes. Now, I already pre-programmed mine because that's the first thing you do when you use electric pressure canner for a water bath or whatever. So I'm going to get these ladled up. I'm hoping to yield out of this batch 24 half pints. That's what I'm hoping to yield. So we're gonna see, maybe even more. Guys, Lippy has her first hatch chilies. Y'all, I've been sitting here listening to ping, ping, ping. That's the sound of glory right there. But I hope you enjoyed my version of rotel tomatoes. And this would have never been possible without the gift of these hatch chilies. Guys, I am thrilled. I do think I'll yield 24 to 26 half pints. Not too bad. But in the description, I will give you the recipe to this. It warrants to try. But like I said, if you don't have a good paste tomato, you can use canned diced tomatoes. Drain the juice off and make sure there's no added flavors to them. You know, olive oil and ping and things like that. So, yeah, I'm tickled pink. But it's break time, and then I'm going to try to get it all finished up. Then I got to start on some supper. But as always, stay safe, stay well, and God bless. And I'll see you on the next one. Yeah, I got me some hatch chilies.